In just 43 seconds, $2.8 million in classified document fees. Pramila Jayapal didn't ask politely. She attacked with surgical precision. Cameras caught every tremor in Kash Patel's voice. The chamber erupted in chaos. What did the congresswoman uncover that made the FBI director's own staff leak Trump's name across every major network before he could even finish his denial? At exactly 10:14 a.m. on Tuesday morning, the House Judiciary Committee chamber felt like a courtroom where justice had been delayed too long. Mahogany desks arranged in perfect congressional order, but nothing about this hearing would follow protocol. Reporters packed the gallery, smartphones already recording what would become the most viral political moment. Pramila Jayapal walked in like a prosecutor who had spent sleepless nights building an airtight case. Her burgundy blazer was pressed, her notes were color-coded, and her expression carried the weight of classified documents that shouldn't exist. She carried a thick manila folder marked confidential in bold red letters. Kash Patel entered 47 seconds later, walking like an investigator who had seen too many lies but believed he could navigate this storm. His navy suit was immaculate, his FBI badge gleamed under the congressional lights, and stacks of declassified memos sat before him like armor. But his hands betrayed him, a slight tremor, as he adjusted his tie. Director Jayapal began, her voice cutting through the murmur of the gallery. Let's discuss Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs from 2019 to 2021. Are you familiar with these documents? Patel's jaw clenched. Congresswoman, I've reviewed hundreds of classified files since taking office. Could you be more specific? Page 47, entry dated August 15, 2020. Jayapal lifted a single sheet of paper. Donald Trump, Flight Manifest, Destination, Little St. James Island. The chamber froze. Even the stenographers stopped typing. Cameras zoomed in on Patel's face as color drained from his cheeks. That document is classified and was classified, Jayapal interrupted, sliding a second paper across the committee table. Until yesterday, when the Freedom of Information Act request I filed 6 months ago was approved. Would you like to read the passenger list aloud, or shall I? Silence. 4 seconds of absolute silence. The kind of silence that breaks careers and topples administration. Patel's knuckles turned white as he gripped the witness table. Congresswoman, you're referring to documents that may have been altered. Are you suggesting the FBI's own evidence vault contains falsified records? The power dynamic shifted like a tectonic plate. Jayapal wasn't asking questions anymore. She was delivering verdicts. I'm suggesting that without proper context. The context is simple, Director. Your agency had evidence of former President Trump's connections to Jeffrey Epstein, and you chose to classify it rather than investigate it. Why? At exactly 10:17 a.m., 3 minutes into what should have been routine testimony, Patel's phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. His face went from pale to ashen as he read the notification. Director Patel, Jayapal continued, are you aware that as we speak, this document is being leaked to every major news outlet by someone within your own agency? CNN broke into regular programming. Fox News cut their morning show. MSNBC's Kieran read, breaking, Trump's name on Epstein flight logs. FBI director confronted. Twitter exploded. Epstein files began trending within minutes. Patel knew followed 30 seconds later. The leaked document appeared on journalist phones faster than Patel could craft a response. How did you know? Patel whispered, more to himself than to Jayapal. Because 3 FBI agents contacted my office yesterday. They're tired of covering up the truth. They're tired of following orders to bury evidence, and they're especially tired of watching you protect the man who appointed you. The committee room erupted. Republicans demanded order. Democrats smelled blood. Gallery members shouted questions. Chairman Jordan banged his gavel, but chaos had already consumed the hearing. Patel stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the marble floor. "This hearing is a disgrace to—" "Sit down, Director." Jayapal's voice carried the authority of someone holding all the cards. "We're not finished." He sat. The room fell silent again. Agent Sarah Martinez, Agent David Chen, Agent Rebecca Williams. Do those names sound familiar? Patel's face drained of what little color remained. Those were his own senior investigators. They've provided sworn affidavits stating that you personally ordered them to reclassify Epstein-related documents after Trump nominated you for this position. Documents that show not just flight logs, but financial transfers totaling $2.8 million from Trump's personal accounts to offshore entities connected to Epstein's operation. The manila folder opened like Pandora's box. Document after document. Bank transfers dated 2019. Flight manifests with Trump's signature. Photo evidence from Little St. James Island showing Trump, Epstein, and 3 unidentified women. "This is fabricated evidence." Patel finally found his voice, but it cracked with desperation. "Then explain why your own agents are willing to testify under oath that you ordered them destroyed." At exactly 10:22 a.m., CNN's Jake Tapper appeared on screens throughout the Capitol building. "We're receiving reports that FBI Director Kash Patel is being confronted with evidence of a cover-up involving former President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Sources within the FBI say multiple agents are prepared to testify that Patel ordered them to bury evidence." The committee room had transformed into a war zone. Patel's legal advisor frantically whispered in his ear. Republican committee members shouted about due process. Democratic members demanded Patel's immediate resignation. "Director Patel," Jayapal's voice cut through the chaos like a surgeon's scalpel. "Would you like to explain to the American people why you swore an oath to uphold justice while actively concealing evidence of criminal activity?" The FBI follows proper protocols for classified material. Is that why Agent Martinez was transferred to the Anchorage field office after she questioned your orders? Is that why Agent Chen was placed on administrative leave for attempting to preserve these documents? Patel's hands trembled as he reached for his water glass. The clear liquid sloshed as his grip failed him. "I demand to see your source documents," he managed. "You already have." Jayapal gestured to the papers scattered before him. "These are copies from your own evidence locker. Room B47, FBI headquarters. The same room you ordered sealed last Tuesday." The leak had become a flood. By 10:25 a.m., every major news outlet was broadcasting the same image. Donald Trump boarding Jeffrey Epstein's private jet, dated August 15, 2020, 6 months before the 20. Director Patel. Chairman Jordan interjected, his voice heavy with resignation. "Do you have any statement regarding these allegations?" Patel looked around the room like a man watching his world collapse in real time. Republican allies who should have defended him sat silent. Democratic opponents who had planned to attack him no longer needed to. The evidence was attacking itself. "The American people deserve the truth," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then give it to them," Jayapal replied. The silence that followed lasted exactly 7 seconds. 7 seconds that felt like an eternity to the 47 million Americans watching live coverage. 7 seconds that would be replayed on every network for the next week. "I cannot comment on ongoing investigations." "There is no ongoing investigation, Director. You closed it on January 22, 2025. The day after President Trump's inauguration. The day after your confirmation hearing. Care to explain the timing?" Patel's phone buzzed again. This time, he didn't look at it. He couldn't. because he already knew what it said. His own staff was abandoning him in real time. Agent Martinez just sent a statement to the Washington Post, Jayapal announced, reading from her own phone. Quote, Director Patel told our team that some truths are too dangerous for democracy. He was wrong. Democracy dies when we hide truth, not when we reveal it. End quote. The committee room had become a tomb. Republicans stopped defending. Democrats stopped attacking. Everyone just watched a man's career disintegrate on live television. Behind the cameras, FBI Deputy Director Sarah Wallace received an encrypted message on her secure phone. 3 words, Patel is finished. She immediately contacted the White House Situation Room. Within minutes, senior staff were briefing President Trump's successor on succession protocols for the Bureau. Meanwhile, in the gallery, investigative journalist Maria Santos frantically typed on her laptop. She had been working this story for 8 months, following financial trails that led from Trump's Mar-a-Lago property to Epstein's Caribbean accounts. What Jayapal revealed today matched every document Santos had uncovered through her own sources. This changes everything, Santos whispered to her editor via encrypted chat. Patel wasn't just covering up evidence, he was actively destroying it. I have the warehouse receipts showing 12 boxes of Epstein files were incinerated at his personal order. The revelation sent shockwaves through the intelligence community. Former CIA Director John Brennan appeared on CNN within the hour, stating, "If these allegations are true, we're looking at the most serious breach of FBI protocols in agency history. This makes Watergate look like a parking ticket." Back in the hearing room, Patel's remaining allies watched their political futures evaporate. Representative Jim Jordan, who had planned to defend the director, suddenly found himself reviewing his own connections to Trump's inner circle. The calculation was brutal but simple. Defend Patel and risk being dragged down with him, or cut ties and survive. Director Patel, Jayapal said, with something approaching sympathy. You have one opportunity to tell the truth. Not to protect Trump, not to protect yourself, but to protect the integrity of the FBI and the justice system you swore to serve. Patel looked at the documents scattered before him. Evidence of crimes, evidence of cover-ups, evidence of his own complicity in protecting a man who didn't deserve protection. At exactly 10:31 a.m., 17 minutes after this nightmare began, Kash Patel made the decision that would define the rest of his life. But first, his phone rang. The caller ID showed POTUS, former President Trump, calling from Mar-a-Lago. Patel declined the call. Then it rang again and again. Each declined call felt like cutting another rope that had held his career together. I resign my position as FBI director, effective immediately. The chamber exploded again, but this time with a different energy. Not chaos, but conclusion. Not confusion, but clarity. In the gallery, Secret Service agent Rebecca Torres immediately radioed the White House detail. Code Yellow, FBI director, has resigned during live testimony. Recommend elevated security protocols for FPOTUS. The ripple effects were already beginning. Former President Trump's spokespersons released a statement within 4 minutes. The deep state has claimed another victim. Kash Patel was a patriot who exposed their lies, and now they've destroyed him for it. But privately, Trump's inner circle was in full damage control mode. And the Trump allegations, Jayapal pressed, will be investigated by my successor, without interference, without classification games, without political considerations. Behind the scenes, FBI counterintelligence agents were already securing evidence rooms. Agent Martinez, watching from her temporary assignment in Anchorage, felt vindicated but heartbroken. She had spent 15 years building her career at the Bureau, only to watch it nearly destroyed by a director who chose loyalty over law. The stock market reacted instantly. Trump Media and Technology Group shares plummeted 23% in the first hour after Patel's resignation. Legal analysts began speculating about criminal referrals. Constitutional scholars debated whether a former president could face federal charges for crimes committed while in office. The hearing continued for another hour, but those 17 minutes had already changed everything. By noon, Trump issued a statement calling Patel a disgraced deep state operative. By evening, 3 FBI agents had been granted whistleblower protection. By the end of the week, a special prosecutor was appointed. 6 months later, when the full investigation concluded, Americans learned that Jayapal's documents were just the beginning. The truth was deeper, darker, and more damaging than anyone imagined. But sometimes the strongest weapon isn't a badge or a subpoena. It's truth, archived and revealed at the right second. What happens when a leader who built power on secrecy is undone by evidence? If patriotism can't survive transparency, was it ever real? If this story shattered illusions, don't just watch. Like, share, and subscribe to Truth Unleashed, where silence gets broken and lies get time-stamped. Hit the bell. The next truth might be about your president. What would you do if you had evidence this explosive? Drop a comment below.